Hello, my name is Ted Dottie. I am the KNEA president for Manhattan-Ogden Association. We wrapped up negotiations this week as well. I was a member of that, and this is a video that is going to explain the changes that we made to the negotiated agreement. Should you be a person that likes to hear it as well as read it? So here we go. The Manhattan-Ogden negotiations team consisted of Ashley Bonson, a special ed teacher at Frank Bergman, myself, a math teacher at the high school, Dustin Duntz, a counselor at the high school, Emily Say is an art teacher at multiple elementaries, Jacob Stroda is a science teacher at AMS, and Robin Witten is a fifth grade teacher at Oliver Brown. The board team consisted of the following people. Katie Allen is a board member, Abby Bowen as HR director, Michael Dorse is principal of Manhattan High, Nathan Downs, associate superintendent, Sheila Henke as the principal of Marlette, Kurt Herman, a board member, and Andy Hutchinson, director of finance for the district. The overall package, as far as if we just look at it as a one big shot, it's 4.7% overall increase. The main contributors to that 4.7% was the $1,000 added to the base. Step and column movement was granted. The district health insurance went up 13%, which was $991 for every teacher covered. Those were the biggest pieces of the pot. Other things that happened in these negotiations was the 100% 403 vesting was shortened from 15 to 10 years. The liquidated damages did go up by 30%. Uh, a counter to that was the advance notice resignation also went up 30%. We try to be consistent about changing things from days to minutes. There's some language that was removed from the contract that I'll point out when we get there. The supplemental base was also increased, but it went up $700 instead of the 1,000 to the other base. There was a lot of work done with professional leadership supplementals. And we also updated the activity supplementals. So here we go on to the actual language and a little bit of an explanation for each. I don't want to make this video horribly long, so I'll do my best to be concise. There was a desire to make things consistent throughout the document. So a lot of times days are converted to minutes. That way there is no question about how long is a day. So if we take 420 divided by 60, that's going to be 7 hours. So there's where the 420 minutes came from. There's a couple of places where this was added just for clarity purposes. We also want to make this document to include all groups. Early learning was not included in this particular article, and we felt that made this more inclusive. And another instance of the 420 minutes. From both sides, there was a desire to be more cohesive, more open about what back to school, what events are covered by your professional duty day. A lot of times the back to school events became a little bit unknown. So, or were the admin was getting a lot of questions about, do I have to be at this event? Is it in my contracts? And so there was a desire to add back to school events in there from both sides. So that is why that is there. If you have a question on whether a back to school event is something that you're required to do, make sure you talk to your administrator. From the teacher side, there was a desire to make sure we protected teachers when they were asked to cover other classrooms on a regular basis. Here or there, just an emergency situation, we understand those things happen and we can do that. But if we're consistently being asked to cover when other teachers are gone, then we want you to tell us that so we can keep track of those things. Some of this was we didn't have any data to really show how often it happened. So later there will be a form go out, and we ask that you fill that out each time you're asked to do this. And then we put in language so that if it happens multiple times, then we can hopefully start to come up with a solution to the problem as well. There was a concern from human resources that a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot, sometimes They would have individuals want to move over in the salary schedule, and human resources did not know about this ahead of time. So they are asking that that you inform human resources that you plan to complete hours so that it will allow you to move over on the salary schedule. That way everyone knows. And if you complete those hours, that your transcript is to the HR by the fourth Friday in August. They were having trouble meeting payroll the third Friday of September with that September deadline. So they asked to move that up. And so we put in language to move that up. If you're going to run into a problem with your institution, just be in communication with HR. I believe they will be very flexible in doing that. I jumped past this when I first did there because we're already to what article was that? That was article 11. Well, we haven't got to 11 articles. I only I only pulled out the pages that had changes made on them. So that's why we jumped straight to like article 8 to start this with. Anyway, I missed that. My apologies. Here is the new updated salary schedule with basically every cell increased by $1,000. From the board side, there was an interest in increasing the liquidated damages. They felt that they were finding the cost of replacing a teacher that resigned not in a normal time frame was increasing. They asked to change those liquidated damages. They're by $600. When this language was created originally, the base salary has gone up 30%, and so they felt like that 30% increase to liquidated damages would be a fair addition. So those numbers were updated by that 30%. We also then countered with then we should for early resignation, those should also get increased by 30% as well, and that was agreed upon. So those numbers also increased by 30%. This is language that has been removed from the contract. Long, long is a relative term. 15 years ago, or more, when this contract was enacted, parts of it, uh, the school district provided a retirement benefit to retiring teachers that was helped cover part of their insurance cost. And that was slowly phased out, and the 403 program was also phased in. And the language there is for these teachers that were phasing out of the old retirement language and into the 403B. All of the teachers that have were impacted by being part of the older language have now retired. And so there are no more teachers in the district that are even affected by this language. So all of this language about retirement and the 403B and the phasing in, etc., that language is being removed because it is no longer applicable. And again, with the removal of language, we'll also see that the removal of sections have to get renumbered as well. So this is where 403B landed. It was in this article. There was a desire to shorten the amount of time it took a teacher to become 100% invested. In that is also as well shortened down the incremental vesting time. So we can see that the 1 through 5 is 0% vested. That stayed the same. However, years 6 through 9, you're going to be at 50%. And once you hit the 10-year mark, then you'll be at 100% vested for your 403B. There was a desire to increase the amount that went into the 403B, but the district position was that they would rather take that money and give everyone something on the base. And if those teachers want more in the 403B, they can take that new money and put it into their 403B. And that is why there was no increase to the amount contributed to the 403B. Again, more language that has to do with teachers that are no longer covered by this negotiated agreement. There was a committee that was put forth from last negotiations that went through and reformatted and redid the professional leadership supplementals, which is what the next few pages are. Do notice that on supplemental salaries, it has a different base. This is 43,200. It went up $700. It did not increase $1,000 like the other base did. This particular article was reformatted so that it goes by to update it to jobs that are currently being done. So we removed some jobs that were no longer applicable, and we put it so that it was much clearer as far as what jobs are at what levels slash buildings. So we can see that if we have early childhood, we now have elementary. We have obviously we have some strike through language in that. So those are positions that are again renamed or reformatted. We changed some other language as far as chairs and coordinators, but there are the middle school positions, and here are the high school positions. Job Corps is struck out, and we continue through there. There are some district level positions then as well. The old language being struck out. The student activity supplemental pay was the next supplementals. That has had a committee for it for a long time. And it just basically gets updates every year. So there was a little bit of updating to some language there as far as who is eligible, and that it is not a position that continues automatically. It has a annual review. Scrolling on through the other changes, there was a desire to be able to bring in more than 8 or other people that would add to maybe help the committee out. So we put in the words of at least just to help that become more flexible. These then, this base was also adjusted to increase by $700, and basically this becomes a percent and a number thing. So this is the values that all the other positions will have. These just deal with student supplementals. There were some positions added. A baseball JV assistant was added. Others just had points updated. Sorry, there was also an additional FFA sponsor added. Others just had their points updated. Those also occur at levels. So here's the middle schools and others. I as the association president or the association presidents before me have always had access to the certified staff email group. It's common practice, but we just wanted to have that language in the contract. The next section has to deal with letters of understanding. They are related to articles within the negotiated agreement itself, but letters of understanding expire every year and we have to revisit it in order to renew them. So most of these are just date changes. Here again are some days to hours change. I believe this one actually had some extra minutes in it, so we had to change it to the correct number of minutes. Here is also the change where the health insurance value changed from 649 to 731. This had to deal with last year, the professional supplemental salary schedule had a committee. We reformatted a lot of things, but we wanted to have that ability to go back and tweak it should we find things didn't quite play out like we wanted it to. So this article stayed, it just updated it to a review and refine versus create. And that is the end of the changes. We ask that you click on the link and vote if you would like to ratify this. I believe August 1st will be the deadline. And I appreciate you taking the time to go through this with me. I hope you have a great year.